What could possibly elicit fear from trained soldiers? An object that looked like scrap metal, rattled when moved and often jammed, seems almost laughable. Yet during turbulent times in occupied Europe, this very object became a source of distress for German soldiers. The British pipe, despite its unassuming appearance, held a reputation far greater than its physical characteristics suggested. To the untrained eye, it was merely a hunk of metal, deceptively plain and rusted, lacking the elegance of traditional weaponry. However, this pipe was not just an object, it was a symbol of resistance and ingenuity. It represented the fight against oppression, the relentless spirit of those working to reclaim their freedom. It was a reminder that even the simplest of designs could serve a formidable purpose, effectively turning the tables in a dire situation. Rumors circulated among the ranks of German soldiers, tales of how this pipe could turn a fleeting moment into a monumental battle. The unpredictable nature of its use amplified the tension. Nobody quite knew what to expect. This lack of predictability drove fear deeper into their hearts, as they faced adversaries who seemed to vanish into thin air, only to reappear when least expected. The eerie clank of the pipe echoing amidst the chaos became synonymous with dread, lunging at them with an unsettling sense of inevitability. As the sun set on occupied landscapes, the shadow of the British pipe loomed larger. What it lacked in aesthetic appeal, it made up for in psychological warfare. Its very existence disrupted the sense of security within enemy lines, forcing them to reconsider their strategies and instilling a sense of vulnerability among ranks. It was a masterclass in using what is available for resistance. This imperfect weapon became a perfect tool for disruption. Ultimately, the story of the pipe serves as a reminder that perception can often eclipse reality. Objects that seem useless or even comedic can turn into powerful weapons of resistance. In a world where pride and strength are typically associated with traditionally impressive machines, the British pipe emerged as an unexpected adversary, teaching valuable lessons about resilience and resourcefulness in the face of overwhelming odds. In the annals of war, it carved out a legacy, proving that sometimes the fear lies not in appearances but in the resolve to resist. In the chaos of World War II, the landscape of weaponry was evolving rapidly, each nation striving to develop arms that showcased their ingenuity and technological prowess. Soldiers wielded rifles and submachine guns that exuded sophistication and reliability, a testament to their makers' devotion to craftsmanship. However, amidst this parade of polished steel, one weapon stood apart, indifferent to the reverence that surrounded its counterparts. It was the Sten gun, a simple design marred by its lack of elegance and a stunning absence of niceties. The Sten gun was a stark contrast to its contemporaries, resembling little more than a metal tube with a side-mounted magazine. Its form lacked the curvatures that invited awe or the ornate embellishments synonymous with lethal efficiency. Rather, it was crude, utilitarian, and frequently derided by soldiers of opposing forces, who affectionately labeled it a pipe gun. But hidden within that seemingly inadequate exterior was a revolutionary purpose, one that would turn the tide of battles fought in the shadows of war. This weapon was not crafted to garner admiration. Its mission was to be everywhere and in abundance. The Sten embodied the philosophy that, in the darkest corridors of conflict, the mere presence of a weapon could inspire fear and unpredictability. Its assembly was designed for speed and volume. Produced quickly in factories with minimal resources, each Sten gun could easily find its way into the hands of numerous soldiers. Such accessibility transformed combat dynamics, giving rise to tactics fueled by sheer numbers rather than precision engineering. In the harrowing theater of warfare, the effectiveness of the Sten gun resonated profoundly. It became a potent symbol of resistance and rebellion, its shots echoing in the faces of those who underestimated it. Quantity, after all, has its own artistry, one that often leads to overwhelming numbers swarming the battlefield, disrupting the rhythm of combat for even the most stalwart opponent. This tenacity birthed legends, the tales of unsung soldiers fighting with their trusty yet unassuming steam, transforming their perceived limitations into steadfast resolve. As time walked its unyielding path, the legacy of the Sten gun persisted. It stood not as a reflection of craftsmanship, but as a testament to the indomitable spirit of resilience. Behind its crude facade lay an undeniable truth. In war, the unassuming can be just as devastating as the intricate, and the most effective weapon is one that serves its purpose with unwavering dependability. Perhaps in that overlooked metal tube was encapsulated the very essence of survival. Unpretentious yet potent, a weapon that shaped the course of history despite the laughter that tried to define it. The Sten gun, a humble yet revolutionary firearm, held a significance that transcended its design for British soldiers. Initially conceived as a straightforward weapon for military use, its true power unveiled when it became a lifeline for the resistance movements across occupied Europe. The British Special Operations Executive, SOE, tasked with sabotaging enemy operations, deftly deployed Sten guns via parachutes into nations under Nazi occupation. France, Poland, Norway, and the Netherlands became the battlegrounds not just for soldiers, but for a diverse array of individuals fighting for their freedom. Lightweight and compact, the Sten was deceptively simple to conceal. In an era where every scrap of information could mean life or death, resistance fighters found an ally in its unassuming form. It could be buried beneath hay in a barn, hidden within the walls of a cottage, or cleverly stowed in a student's backpack. The ease with which it could be learned meant that anyone, regardless of background, could pick it up and start fighting for their cause. Even a farmer tending to his fields or a student immersed in studies could transform into a formidable fighter with just a few minutes of instruction. The introduction of the Sten into occupied territories ignited fear within the ranks of German soldiers. The terrifying realization dawned upon them. This weapon could arm the masses. No longer confined to trained soldiers, the ability to resist became accessible to everyday citizens. There was no longer a sanctuary left for the occupying forces. Civilians were rising up. The notion that anyone could become an armed combatant blurred the lines of warfare, shattering the illusion of a secure rear area for German troops. Resistance fighters emerged from all walks of life, united by a fierce determination to reclaim their autonomy. They executed daring operations under the cover of night, leveraging their knowledge of the land to strike against the oppressors. With the Sten as their weapon, they forged a quiet revolution, disrupting supply lines and sabotaging critical infrastructures. Footage captures the stark determination etched on the faces of these fighters, their resolve unwavering as they embraced their roles in a struggle larger than themselves. From the hiding spots to secret meetings, the Sten became more than just a gun. It symbolized hope, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of those who dared to fight against tyranny. Amidst the shadows, the Sten empowered ordinary people to change the fate of their nations. The Sten gun, a simple yet deadly weapon, instilled genuine fear among German soldiers during the conflict. It was not the weapon's technical prowess that haunted them. Rather, it was the uncertainty that loomed with its presence. This submachine gun, known for its rapid fire and ease of use, turned even the most mundane surroundings into potential death traps where German patrols could be ambushed in an instant. Ambushes took place in tight alleys where shadows blurred reality, in narrow stairwells echoing with the chaos of sudden violence, and in dense forests where silence could swiftly transform into gunfire. The Sten's short, hard bursts became synonymous with unexpected death, creating an atmosphere of paranoia among German troops. Their patrols, once a routine display of power, vanished before their eyes, devoured by the very silence that preceded the storm of bullets. The reality of the Sten changed the dynamics of warfare, making even a stroll through seemingly tranquil streets an act laden with dread. German soldiers learned to associate the swift, metallic sound of the Sten with their mortality, leading to an environment where fear and uncertainty reigned supreme. This sense of vulnerability rose to a dire level as orders from high command became increasingly draconian, reflecting the psychological impact of the Sten in the battlefield. The Sten gun, often criticized for its flaws, found its purpose in the unrelenting hands of resistance fighters during World War II. Every jam and inaccuracy was overlooked by those who needed a tool that symbolized something greater, a way to fight back against tyranny. In the shadows of occupied Europe, where fear gripped the hearts of the populace, the Sten transformed ordinary citizens into extraordinary threats against their oppressors. By 1944, the tides were beginning to turn. The stories of courage echoed through the alleys and ruins, fueled by makeshift weapons like the Sten. It was more than just a firearm. It became a statement, a resolute act of defiance against the seemingly invincible German forces. Resistance fighters understood that perfection was not a prerequisite for victory. Their resolve and ability to harness the element of surprise carried them forward. Every shot fired from a Sten was a reminder that the spirit of freedom could not be silenced by fear alone. The Sten's very design, simple, unpretentious, and devoid of elegance, was emblematic of the struggle itself. It was a weapon for the people, manufactured in backyard workshops and passed from hand to hand. It represented a grassroots uprising, where ordinary individuals, motivated by desperation and hope, were equipped to challenge the status quo. This crude yet powerful instrument of resistance emerged as a symbol of solidarity, turning the tide of battle in places once dominated by fear. As the war drew to a close, the impact of the Sten gun was undeniable. Its presence in liberation ceremonies was woven into the fabric of history, marking the end of oppression and the dawn of freedom. Resistance fighters, those who once cowered under the weight of occupation, now stood tall with the very weapon that transformed them. They rallied together, celebrating victories, reclaiming their towns and cities, and breathing life back into a culture stifled by fear. While the Sten may not have been a marvel of engineering, it certainly carried the weight of transformation. Its legacy echoes through the annals of history as a reminder that sometimes it is not the weapon, but the will of the people that defines the outcome of a struggle. In the ashes of war, the Sten gun was a seed from which resistance bloomed, turning the tide against those who sought to control and dominate.